You look for things that are normal. It's almost like if you were talking to yourself. You go, this looks okay, this looks okay. Then all of a sudden, something doesn't look okay, like a boat full of water. That's the abnormal. Then you have to do something, either call for help or take some type of action. That's what patrol is all about. It was Memorial Day weekend 2007, approximately 1:30 in the afternoon. I saw the boat was floundering, and by the time I made the U-turn and came back, the boat was about 40 to 50 feet out, and both the gentlemen were out of the boat at that point, in the water. When I asked the gentleman if he knew how to swim, he said no. I said, I'll be right there. I'm coming to get you. I stepped off one of the rocks and went completely under. The fireman that stopped was up there. He threw me, he had a short length of rope, which I took with me. He came down the path. The rope was not long enough to get out to the boat. By then, the second officer had stopped. He had another length of rope, which we tied together. I was in the water the whole time. We were able to get out to the boat and pull everything in together without losing anybody.
Police officers are a unique bunch of guys. For the most part, most of the guys will respond. But there is a certain point at some officers go beyond what their requirements are.
In my past, I've had training, from when I was a kid in the Boy Scouts on life saving, into the Navy, and I've been a good swimmer all my life, so I didn't hesitate. It's always good to be prepared to help in any situation, whether it be at home, in the water, on the road. You can take CPR courses that anybody can avail themselves to through the Red Cross.
Any time of the day or night, something could happen, and you got to be prepared.
Rexy I rescued in September 2007, and he repaid that favor in January of 2008, just 4 months later. Rexy was rescued from the City Animal Care and Control. I had received an email about Rexy, and he was on the euthanasia list, and someone had said, could someone please save this dog? So I had looked at his picture, closed the email, opened it up again, looked at it again. Rexy somehow called out to me. So they actually delivered him to my house, and so I'd been working with him, and he'd been getting used to being in his new home. It was 6:30 in the morning, and I was a little slow getting up. It was one of those mornings, and it was unusual for Rexy to be barking downstairs, and usually he sleeps in, and he started barking downstairs. So I ran downstairs thinking maybe he had to go outside, and when I got downstairs, there were flames shooting out of my dining room, and so I threw him outside, and I got my two older dogs, my senior citizen dogs, out. So Rexy saved the whole family.
Being prepared to care for an animal just as you would any other family member is really important. The Red Cross has a pet first aid course. I happen to be an instructor in the course, and we are trying to encourage many people to be prepared for an accident, injury, or even an emergency evacuation.
I firmly believe that dogs who have been given a second chance, and in some cases a third chance, are so grateful that they try harder to be better dogs. They just realize that they've been given a second chance, and they're just wonderful, wonderful pets, and it's just an incredible experience to save a life. Mommy, oh, good boy. You're a good boy.
It was 06, 07. We had a second grade teacher who was fighting cancer, and the whole school was involved in actually supporting her. Unfortunately, in the fall of 07, they needed to be more aggressive, and
it was a difficult time for us as a school community, and we worked as a building crisis team to try to figure out what we would do when we knew the inevitable would happen.
We started feeling that we needed to do something else. We needed some support, and we needed someone right away. So I had been given Dr. Gold's number by our superintendent, David Fleischman, and I called her and found exactly what we were looking for.
When we started talking to Jean, she was so reassuring and she had all of the answers, and she said, you can call me at home, you can call me in the office, and I can be there Monday morning with a team to help you. They worked with us to craft child language, that this was such a terrible event for us and we were so close to the person that we were losing that we really needed to know how to speak to children about death.
We were ready to respond, and they were with us for the rest of that week, actually. They were there for staff, and they were there for us, saddened so by this, but the support was there. We knew that we would get through it together.
The Spirit of the Red Cross is an award given to someone who will, either through volunteering or through giving of funds or other kinds of gifts, will give for the benefit of others without expecting anything in return. And that's very, very much what I had seen in David, the fact that he was willing to give all that he had to help meet the needs of other people. First time I met David was when I went down to make a visit, because I had seen in his record that he had given a huge number of gifts and was a major donor of the Red Cross. So I went down to meet him thinking I had gotten to the wrong place, because I looked at the house I had gotten to and realized it was not where I would have thought a major donor would live, because I expected someone who had given so generously to be in a large house in a lovely suburb. And he had so little. And as I sat there and realized what he had given, I realized how much he had given of what he had. David had been in a position where he had been unable to work for a while, and yet he really felt that he wanted to be able to help people. So he had gotten a job bagging groceries at one of the local grocery stores, primarily so that he could have funds available to help other people. And at this point, he has given more gifts to the Westchester Red Cross chapter than any other donor. And when I commented that I thought that was a marvelous thing, he looked at me and he said, wouldn't anybody do that if they knew that people were in need? David fits very much into the rest of the heroes because he has gone beyond his comfort zone in order to help others at their time of need. And none of them has asked for anything in return. It's been a pure giving of who they are, of their skills, of their abilities, of their talents, of their monies, to reach out and help those in need.